Welcome back. What were we up to? Nika-chan was being weird, wasn't she? Inside, there were actually lots of things that scared the cat. Nika-chan made a cute gesture like a ghost was coming out to frighten me. The cat was both terrified and amazed. It ran away as fast as it could. Clatter clatter, shiver shiver, meow meow. It was terrible. This cat, who are you saying it was? Your mom. The cat is a cat. Meow meow. Deeply profound statement. Nika-chan still avoided saying it. The cat, though, was without a doubt me. Nika-chan, please tell me, the cat, what should it do now? Maybe it was a desperate question to ask. I had sort of admitted to being the cat. The cat is just a cat, so it can just keep meowing and everything will be fine. Profound. Everything will be fine. That's stupid. Shouldn't it just keep meowing? What conversation are we having? Geez, Nika-chan and I have put together an entire conversation using cat as a code word. I didn't say it directly, but I had already admitted it. I didn't want to end up like those two. I didn't want to be a sacrifice, like Shion said. That's what I thought, so I stubbornly remained silent. But now, that's enough. It can't just keep meowing. The dog saw the cat, making mischief and sneaking inside. The dog. That's right. It was the dog. It keeps coming to the cat and trying to get it to say that it snuck inside. Same. After I said that, Nika-chan's expression clouded over. She was trying to hide it, but I'd already noticed her eyes darkening. Nika-chan? The silence was frightening, so I spurred her on. At that point, Nika-chan grinned. It's all right. I'll protect the cat. Huh? I thought for a moment that I had misheard those words. So dependable they were. The cat is really scared, but it really isn't all that bad. I think all the dogs are just misunderstanding. It's not all that bad? The cat is worrying too much. Hey, it's me, I'm the cat. I'll do something about it for sure. Nika-chan will do something about it. I don't even know left from right at the moment, so Nika-chan didn't look all that dependable. Well, that's a bit rude. It might be hard, but I'll do my best. Go for it, yay! She clenched her fist and stuck it in the air. Normal human interactions. Nika-chan said that the cat can just keep meowing. Yes, we know, we repeated it 10 times. She said to leave it all to her. Is that really all it took to resolve this whole thing? Will you really be alright, Nika-chan? If I don't do my best, then something bad could happen to the dogs too. I had no idea what Nika-chan was talking about anymore. She had been talking to me under the assumption that I was aware of certain things. So at first I understood her. Around the middle though, I stopped understanding anything. Same. However, one thing I did know was to not worry and to leave it to her. Yes, leave it to the 10-year-old. Nika-chan straightened up once again, patted me on the head and smiled. I was so moved by that reassuring feeling that I couldn't help but start to cry. I'm sorry, the cat, it really was just a little bit of mischief. I didn't think any of this would. It's too much of a scaredy cat. That's why it should never have seen the storehouse. She was right. It was far too shocking for someone to see based on a little bit of interest alone. That's why they made it so difficult to look in the first place, wasn't it? Nika-chan, what will happen to the cat? 2 of the cats that snuck in, well, that night, they... Hello? I'd heard Tomitake-san and Takano-san's deaths were being kept a secret. Nika-chan might not have known about it. Tomitake and Takano? I gave a start at the sudden mention of actual names. Though it's weird to do so at this point. You should forget about them. Excuse me? THP. My spine froze again. Indeed. Forget? Yes. It won't do you any good to remember those two, Keiichi. The more you think about it, the scarier it will get. So you should forget about them as soon as possible. She said something so enormously terrifying, without letting the smile on her face waver at all. I don't know where you heard about it from, but you should forget everything. Make your mind as clean as a scrubbed bathtub. That's a metaphor. Forget? Nika-chan, you know, don't you? You know how those two died. No matter how they died, it has nothing to do with you, Keiichi. Nika declared this in a flat voice. Nothing to do with me. So, forget about it. The girl before me, she was innocent and lovable, and even seemed trustworthy, but suddenly she took on another dimension. Ha! Ha! Don't get involved with their deaths. I'll help you, Keiichi. Those two contradictory statements twisted and distorted my image of the girl in front of me. Oh, the background went weird there. What about Shion? What'll happen to her? It might have been dangerous to mention Shion's name, but I couldn't stop myself from asking. Nika-chan saw through everything anyway. There was no way I was going to fool her or keep anything from her at this point. The younger of the sister cats? Meow meow. Indeed. Yeah, the little sister cat. Nika-chan appeared to think upon this for a moment. It was hard for me to endure even this momentary silence. The big sister cat is angry. The little sister cat did something bad, so she's really mad. The big sister cat? That could only mean Mion. I recall being questioned by her yesterday. Keiichi? The big sister cat is not in a good mood at all. I think we should leave her alone for a while. Not in a good mood. Those words sent a shiver through me. Mion was mad. She was mad that we entered the ritual storehouse. Let's stop having club from now on. Huh? Why? I think we should leave her alone. Nika-chan ended her sentence with such force that I couldn't say anything in response. Hey, Keiichi Maebara, don't disobey Nika-chan right now. She's the only one who said she'll help me right now. I'll leave things to her just as she said to. I mean, she even said that the cat should just keep meowing. Profound. I'll forget everything like she said. I'll leave everything to her. I'll forget everything about Takano-san and Tomitake-san and what I did that night. Ding-a-ling! Just then we heard a bell far away marking the end of our lunch break. I guess we should go back to class. Keiichi? As if she had noticed how miserable I was. Haha, same. About to leave everything to her and flee the scene, Nika-chan called out to stop me. If the misunderstanding dog comes to try and bite the cat, please tell me, okay? That's a sentence. The misunderstanding dog. She put it in such a cute-sounding way. Okay. But the true meaning behind those words was an eerie one. Who is the misunderstanding dog? The dog that bit the mare. I don't know why it did that. If it was going to bite anyone, it would have been the trickster cat first. The flow of blood in my body felt like it completely stopped for a moment. Nika-chan had admitted it. The sacrifices of that terrible calamity. She admitted that if they were to happen again, it would be Shion or I. This, I didn't know what was true about the girl standing before me. My suspicion gave way to fear and nearly began to change into anger. Was she a savior who'd protect me? Or a stranger trying to capture and kill me for the sake of a horrible tradition? I had no idea what was true. Mate, we've just spent like 10 minutes talking about how she's going to protect you. Come on. I'm sorry. The cat is already scared and I said something to scare it even more. I'm really sorry. Nika-chan bowed so quickly it looked like her head had been pulled downward. Still, she was right. I was cowering. I could distinctly feel my body shaking violently. So, when Nika-chan reached her hand out to pat me on the head, I pulled away without thinking. Nika-chan made a very sad face, but I just couldn't bring myself to put out my head for her again. I mean, that's weird to begin with, so, you know. That day, Nika-chan said she wasn't feeling up for club activities that day. Yes, so she suggested we not bother. That's a lot of that day. There's always vetoes when someone doesn't feel up to it. Nena and the others seemed really disappointed. The big sister cat is not in a good mood. I remembered Nika-chan's words, yes, she said them like 2 minutes ago, and quietly stole a glance at Mion's expression. If I could forget the way she questioned me yesterday, though, her behaviour was the same as it always was. Ooh. End of chapter. No new tips? Okay. After dinner, without the energy to watch TV, I climbed into the futon in my bedroom and let my head be overtaken by gloomy thoughts. Same. I told Nika-chan anything and everything. She had seemed trustworthy at the time, but had that really been the right choice? The more I looked back on it, the less I understood what Nika-chan was saying. Not only did she know about Takano-san and Tomitake-san's deaths, but she spoke of them as if she were a concerned party. After all this time, in my futon, I began to tremble fiercely. Had I been lured in by Nika-chan's sweet smile and told her things I shouldn't have? I should have continued to feign ignorance. I shouldn't have shown her such a weak side of me. My emotions are a mix of regret and fear, and it coloured the darkness of the night with an additional layer of terror. Suddenly, a knock. I might have yelped. That's how surprised I was. These things happen. Keiichi, I've been calling your name for a while. You have a phone call. It's from Sonozaki-san. Which one? It was Dad. I reached out for the cordless phone through the gap in my door. There it is. Sonozaki-san. Which one? The older sister or the younger? I don't know. Ask her yourself. I took the receiver and buried myself in my futon again. Bro, it's summer. That's going to be so hot. Yellow? Mion? Or is it Shion? It's me, Shion. Good evening. I practically jumped out of bed. It was Shion, who I hoped so desperately would call me back last night. Oh, that's right, he was really rude to her. Shion, sorry about last night. I got all riled up. I heard what sounded like a deep sigh on the other end. You and me are in the same position, aren't we? I shouldn't have blamed you for everything like that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, so please cheer up. That's such a weird thing to say. Like, I know the Japanese that it's coming from, but putting it into English like that is really weird. I called you because I'm in a better mood. If you're sorry, then I'll forgive you, so please stop apologizing. Shion's tone still sounded a little angry, but for the moment, she said she'd forgive me. You're right too. We're tied to the same fate. Making sure the other is alright is the only way to guarantee our own safety. Yeah, I agree. We absolutely need to share whatever information we have, so that we don't die, like Takano-san and Tomitake-san did. Gulp. I forced myself to swallow, ew, a solid drop of saliva. Ew, why do they have to describe it like that? Then let's continue from where we left off. You'll listen without getting angry this time, right? Oh, can we just skip ahead? This is boring. We've done it already 10 times. Firstly, it seems sneaking into the ritual storehouse was more of a taboo than we thought. Takano-san and Tomitake-san's miserable ends, terrible enough that you could call them a warning, they were more than enough to make me believe that. The culprits killed those two, the ones responsible for sullying the storehouse, and they'll come for us next. I know you want to deny that, but please accept it. It'll be too late to believe me after you've disappeared, okay? I got it. You can never be too careful after all. I don't want to accept it either. To think that sneaking a peek at that museum of torture devices deserves a death like that, I don't want to believe it. That's what a taboo is. For those who honor it, If one breaks the taboo, no matter how small or innocent their intentions were, they wouldn't be forgiven. Let's report anything we notice that seems strange. If we connect all the tiny pieces that we have, then just maybe we'll find out who killed them, or maybe even the truth behind the incidents of the previous years. We could find the key that'll resolve everything. You're right. You're right about that. All I was doing was waiting in fear, but Shion had already thought that far ahead. Given how trustworthy she felt, I became embarrassed over how passive I was being. All these sentences are just worded really strangely. Then I'll start, since I suggested it. I feel like somebody has been watching me lately. Nani? It might be my imagination, but I'll tell you anyway. I think it's just me, but if you feel like you're being watched too, Kei-chan, then maybe it's not just my imagination. Well, don't worry. At the very least, everything's been fine for me. I think. As I spoke with Shion, I thought back on today. I had no grounds to say that everything was fine. I see. Then I suppose it was my imagination. But you be careful too, Kei-chan. Be especially careful when you're by yourself in public. I'm in Okinomiya, so I won't be alone very often, but you live in Hinamizawa. There will be a lot of times you'll be alone. Please be extra careful. You're right. Yeah, I'll be careful. Also, about my sister. Has she been acting strange lately? Your sister? Oh, Mion, right. What do you mean by acting strangely? Well, yesterday, she came to me and asked me where I was on the night of Watanagashi. What? She asked me too. The day before yesterday, I think. Mion asked me. I see. I told her I wasn't there. What did you say? I did the same thing. I just dodged the question. Both of us gave a quiet sigh of relief. Ever since the night of the festival, my sister has been acting strangely. We can't be too careful, so just be aware, okay? Mion was acting strangely. Aside from her asking me about the night of Watanagashi, she hadn't seemed too out of the ordinary. At least from my point of view. Her twin sister, though, was saying she was acting weird. Maybe it was such a slight change that a stranger like me wouldn't be able to notice. Got it. I'll start being careful. I'll always have Lena with me on my way back from school, so I shouldn't end up alone with Mion very often. Please be careful. If there's anything that's bothering you, you can tell me. Alright. Okay, then is there anything you want to tell me, Kei-chan? My turn. That's right. Maybe I should report on Oishi-san asking me the same question at the library. Oh, that time when you were too slow to escape? Yeah. Oishi-san asked me pretty forcefully whether I was with Takano-san and Tomitake-san that night, and whether I had seen you. Oishi-san seemed to have seen the four of us together. From the police's point of view, that would make us the last people who had seen them. I suppose given that, it's only natural that they'd be interested in us. I evaded the questions then too, but that might have just made them more interested. There was no way I could have tricked that sly old fox Oishi-san. My troubled countenance would have only made him even more certain. Hey, Shion, since they're the police, shouldn't we just tell them? I mean, considering our situation, I think having them on our side would be a good thing. Shion didn't answer right away. For a few moments, all I could hear was her breathing as she thought about it. Now that I think about it, Oishi-san said there was something possibly shady about Mion. At least, I think that's what he said. Yeah, he definitely did. As I explained yesterday, the Sonozaki family holds a lot of influence over Hinamizawa. Oishi is under the impression that the whole village, with the Sonozaki family at the center of it, is responsible for the recurrent freak deaths. The whole village is behind them, with the Sonozaki family at the center. Please don't get angry like you did yesterday and just listen. I hammered that home before I got too upset. Why does he get angry at these things? Like, this genuinely bothers me. Like, I don't know if it's just like purely for story purposes, but he gets angry at the weirdest things. Like, bro, talk about it. Are you okay? You should not be getting angry at the tiniest little things like that. During the Hinamizawa Dam Wars, the priest who everyone was anticipating to lead the anti-dam movement acted as though he were unrelated, so the Sonozaki main house rose up to take charge. My sister told you about all the battles that happened, right? Yeah, all of Hinamizawa got together and fought as one. They held protests, brought it to court, and even appeared on TV. In reality, there were many things that happened that were far more extreme. Under the surface, the Sonozaki main house was doing all sorts of illegal things to oppose it. They were acting illegally. For example, they would sneak into the construction site in the middle of the night and steal equipment, or break it, or put sugar cubes in the gasoline tanks of the construction vehicles. Those monsters. Sugar in their gasoline tanks? Why would they? You don't know. It's practically the representative guerrilla tactic. It was used by underground organizations in France in World War II for one. When you put sugar in, the engine gets burned out and breaks down. That's pretty bad though, isn't it? It was destruction of property and nothing less. When they beefed up the guard at the construction facility, the family turned to attacking important construction personnel who worked there. The government officials who had given permission for the construction, for example, received all kinds of threats. Not just people from the prefectural office either. Apparently this reached as far as the Ministry of Construction. As far as I've heard, they even kidnapped a child once. Oh no, kidnapped? Yes, the child of an important person in the Ministry of Construction who was in charge of the Hinamizawa Dam got spirited away. Then one day, all of a sudden, he was rescued in the Takatsuro Mountains, which are upstream from Hinamizawa. Apparently, there were never any criminal accusations, but people whispered that it had been a threat to stop the dam construction from happening. Besides that, there are stories about so many different threats that I couldn't possibly list them all. Wow, that's sort of bad, isn't it? You reckon? They kidnapped a child? Oh, kinda bad, I guess. Right in the middle of the whole thing, the first incident happened. That's when the dismemberment of the construction manager occurred. People whispered that the Sonozaki family had bought out the principal offender, but of course he fled and they still haven't found him. When you put it that way, the Sonozaki family definitely seems suspicious. Oishi-san even seems to think that the criminal was erased so he wouldn't talk, which is pretty reasonable of him. It's even enough to make me think that the Sonozaki main house is doing some really shady things behind the scenes, even though I'm related to them. Are you telling me to believe that the Sonozaki main house, where Mion lives, has done all those bad things? You're telling me to believe it? Obviously. Even if you don't, Kei-chan, the villagers do. While they opposed the dam in upright and lawful ways, the Sonozaki house did the dirty work for them. Everyone believes that they fought at the front, so they'd take the brunt of the criticism. So they're respected as sort of heroes of darkness. I think I only really know one part of it. For example, the really bad stuff like the kidnapping, I think only a handful of people even know about it, including Grandma. The Sonozaki family is secretive, after all. Secretive, huh? A family so unforthcoming that even Shion, who is related to them, doesn't know everything about them. The Sonozaki family. Unlike Shion, her older twin Mion was deeply involved with everything, and that was not a fun thought to entertain. My sister, though young, was the one who acted as the center of the illegal resistance movement. Mion was? What do you mean? Well, our dad is a big-shot yakuza. Even when she was little, my sister managed to subjugate a bunch of young street rats. Then she played all sorts of tricks on them and just generally got in their way. Mion did that? Now she's pretty laid back, so it might be hard to imagine. They put her in charge of everything, from property damage to threats and even acts of violence. Though since she was a kid, they could get her released pretty easily. She learned that her age could be used as a weapon. It may have been indiscreet, but I couldn't help but chuckle dryly. She may have been young, but she was certainly still Mion. Even back then, she had already been known for her craftiness. It's nothing to laugh about. Please take this seriously. Ah, sorry, I didn't mean to. Shion had gotten pretty angry at me. Well, her delinquency soon got her into a position of authority in the Sonozaki main house. It's not unthinkable that Oishi suspects them for the dismemberment incident and the later ones too. For a few moments, I was dumbstruck at the tales of Mion's past. None of them matched the image I had of her. A younger Mion, dirtying her hands with all sorts of crimes, giving the dam construction project hell. As the successor to the Sonozaki main family, she was always right at the center of the vortex of strange incidents occurring year after year. Was that really the Mion I know? Maybe the one I know isn't the real Mion. I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't bring myself to accept those images of Mion I was hearing from another person. Well, back to the main subject. I just wanted you to know that my sister is someone worth being cautious around. Please be careful. I didn't want to understand. Mion was a fantastic friend. She would never do something to back me into a corner like that. She did ask me pretty harshly about the night of the festival, but even that, it wasn't like she'd said it in a mean way or anything. All right, I'll make sure to be careful. We're sisters related by blood, but within the Sonozaki family, we're basically of a different class. I want you to recognize how distant they are from me. Please. The more Shion tells me about Mion, the less I understand who Mion is. The Mion I know wasn't a dangerous person. She joked around, smiled a lot, and was full of passion. Now that I'd realized I held such a view towards her, Shion was telling me to change it. To be careful around the best friend ever. To doubt her. The idea was very sad and painful. Now, about Oishi. If you think it's a good idea, then I think we should give him the information he needs. I think getting the police on our side will work in our favor. You thought so too, Shion? It's just, at the moment, like I explained, the police have their eyes on the Sonozaki family already. Oishi in particular completely believes that they're the masterminds behind the serial incidents. That includes me, of course. So I don't really want much to do with Oishi. I see. If Oishi-san had found out about the Sonozaki family's strife-filled history, then he probably wouldn't be very happy with Shion either. At last, I understood Mion's instinctive dislike for Oishi-san. It's probably out in the open at this point, but try not to give my name to him. If you agree to that, then I don't think there's a problem with you telling him anything. I got it. I won't mention your name. The police's investigative ability should be quite a reliable weapon for us right now. If Oishi tells you anything interesting, then let me know as well. Yeah, of course. We'll share information and investigate together. Who killed Takano-san and Tomitake-san? Who was after us? Until we know, we need to defend ourselves. Anything else? Besides what Oishi told you, I mean. If anything has happened, no matter how minor, please tell me. Aside from my discussion with Oishi-san. Oh. Should I tell her that I revealed everything to Nika-chan? Nika-chan was acting like she knew something I didn't. She told me to leave it to her, but what? Ah, that's right. When I was talking to her, I mentioned Shion's name too. Was that a mistake? I felt like Shion would get angry. Nothing else? Kei-chan? I had remained quiet for a little while, so Shion encouraged me to speak, unable to bear the silence. As I struggled with what to say, Shion addressed me instead. It doesn't sound like it, so can I ask you something? I just heard this myself. Is it true that old man Kimiyoshi went missing? The old man Kimiyoshi? My gut told me that was the name of the mayor. You mean the mayor? Wait, Shion, you haven't heard? I don't know anything. I just overheard my dad talking about it on the phone again. I realized I shouldn't have said that. Here in Hinamizawa, the things that happened around this time when Oyashiro-sama's curse would recur would all be covered up. Yeah, actually, last night after a meeting he didn't come home, so all of Hinamizawa was confused. They searched all through the village, but if they found him, then I haven't heard. The police should be searching for him as well. Why didn't you tell me something that important right away? Oh, she's angry. She shouted angrily at me, bringing all her emotion to bear. Sorry, I thought you already knew. I didn't want to hide it or anything. The receiver was silent. Did Shion get mad again and hang up? Nice. Hey, Shion. Hello. Kei-chan? What? What should I do? Shion's tiny, confused voice sounded like it belonged to a different person than the one yelling a few seconds ago. Alright, we're actually going to hold this one here. We've reached our limit for this week. That was a very long phone conversation, and by the looks of it, we're not even done yet. Anyway, we discovered some information, if nothing else. We're proceeding slowly, quickly, moderately towards the ending. I imagine it can't be too far away. Too far away in visual novel terms. Anyway, come back next week and find out what is going on, and hopefully this phone conversation will end. I'll see you guys then. See ya.